secure our elections. And they're actually a step above Fox News and Newsmax now, who doesn't report anything about our elections and our election platform. So I'm pretty excited. I believe we're within weeks of huge change coming. You know, Tulsi Gabbard, her office has been pouring evidence out, and they have the burn bags there that she talked about a few weeks ago. That's where you can't destroy enough evidence, everybody, so you got to put them in these bags. They call them burn bags with your initials on them. It got brought up to me, well, how did they get left behind? Well, maybe it was some great little whistleblowers or somebody that had a moral compass and said, hey, let's leave these behind. Let's leave these so that the people of this country can see what really goes on with our elections, which we've had all the evidence all along. So, but anyway, I'm very excited to be here. And by the way, everybody, Rudy Giuliani, our great mayor that's here on Lindell TV, he will be doing his show tonight. That's what I'm hearing. He got in a terrible car crash, and you guys, so we're looking forward to his great show, and he can tell you all about it firsthand. But what a blessing. I know the president just announced he's going to give him the Medal of Freedom, I believe, award that the highest award you can get for a citizen in this country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Look at that, everybody. That's just so unbelievable that we're so blessed to have the mayor here as part of Lindell TV and to get our voice out. And everybody, let's not forget, we're publicly traded. MLMC, those stock symbols. You guys want to be a part of the biggest voice ever as we continue to grow. Here's where we are, Vanessa. And but I'm so happy to be here. I love coming here, and I gotta get myself one of them passes at the gate where I get everyone else say I get here this morning for Lindell TV, and they go, oh no, you got to get an escort because the owner of Lindell TV or they need to give you a permanent or a passing. I said, well, wait a minute here. I mean, everybody got passes, but oh, Mike.
I'm sure you won't have a problem getting one, Mike. I want to go back and talk about Rudy now. You know, Rudy has been a great friend to you, America's favorite mayor.
Yeah.
You know, Mike, I was sitting on the couch. It was the holiday weekend, and I was sitting on the couch watching TV when President Trump put out that statement. And I'll tell you, my mind went to immediately 9/11. Because I remember I was in college at the time, and I know where I was 9/11 and watching that and watching how heroic he was and how he led that city to greatness. I mean, he had the weight of his world on his shoulder. He had to keep that city together. And so I started tearing up on the couch this weekend when President Trump announced that. And then I think of the attacks he's been under the last couple of years under the Biden administration and the fighter. I mean, he was a fighter from before 9/11, but definitely 9/11. Through all of the mess he's been through the last couple of years. You hear his stories all the time on the Rudy Giuliani show here on Lindell TV. Didn't you hear what happened this weekend with the wreck? He had pulled over to help a woman who was a domestic violence victim, and then he gets in a wreck.
Well,
I mean, Rudy Giuliani truly is a Superman.
Absolutely. And you know, this goes back to, remember, everybody, he took down the mafia in New York, and he made New York one of the safest, cleanest cities in the world. I would go to New York all the time and feel so safe there for what he did. So smart. The things he did were so smart, common sense. Let's put the police precinct right in the middle of Times Square. What a beautiful thing. Let's not make I mean, the stuff he did, and then to actually physically clean it. I'd be there in New York, and every day they're rolling through it. There wasn't a speck of trash on the streets, but he cleaned it all up with the mafia. Then you go through 9/11, and then to me, the biggest thing he's done, which gets, like you kind of mentioned it, but remember he was right at the forefront, the tip of the spear, fighting for our country when the election was stolen in 2020. And he's been there ever since. He was one of the few people that never backed down. There were many attorneys. I could name them. I could sit here and name them. They know who they are out there that just backed away when not any part of it because they see Rudy Giuliani, the mayor's getting attacked, and your Sidney Powell's of the world getting attacked, and everybody getting attacked. And other lawyers that would take up the elections, and they would be disbarred and all these things. Well, they wanted to make an example out of him. And you know what? He didn't back down. He just said, you know what? I'm not going to. If he'd have backed down and just went on with his life, they would have said, "Oh, you know what? He's okay. That's it. Out of sight, out of mind." And but what does he do? He just stood up, and we were very blessed to get him last summer. Everybody has been with Lindell TV now for over a year, and what a blessing he's been to our country, and he deserves that. Absolutely deserves that award. That if anyone should get that award, it should be Rudy Giuliani. And you look up, you Google courage, and there he is, right? And
Absolutely.
People are saying, "Oh, because of a car wreck." That's what I'm hearing here. What are you talking about? I said he's even courageous there. He's going to do his show today. From I don't know if he's going to be still in the hospital or whatever, but the show must go on. That's our Rudy. So
right.
that's
a
great.
lot of people would take time to recover, and you hear all of the injuries that he suffered from that wreck, from vertebrae and, leg injuries and arm injuries. And, the doctor's saying he's going to have to be in a back brace. And he says, okay, well, I still have to do my show tonight. So he doesn't stop.
Absolutely. So, no, he doesn't.
I love it.
He's like that. And you know what? That's if you didn't have people, like him back in the day standing up, they would have gotten away with the biggest crime in history. You guys, we broke through the biggest cover up of the biggest crime in history, and they took everything from him. The evidence down in Georgia with those two pulling the suitcases out and open them up. Everyone knows, that corrupt lawsuit goes forward. And all these things that happened to him is one thing after another, the attack. There's very few people I can compare to myself, and I'm going, I can look over there and I go, wow, they've done the same things when they attacked him, his livelihood, like they've attacked mine with MyPillow. And by the way, everybody, everyone always asks for updates there. MyPillow is getting through by all of you out there. Vanessa, I know you got your promo code. Is it still Vanessa?
It sure is.
There you go, everybody. Use the promo code Vanessa.
And Mike, I have to say this too, because, and you did this on your own. I didn't have to tell you. People misspell my name all the time. They never know whether to put two N's or two S's. And I was standing next to you when you made the phone call for my promo code, and you made sure that they put it both ways, just in case somebody makes a typo.
It's covered. We wanted everybody to get the special, and you guys, we're doing something right now that you could really help us out. It's a win-win-win-win. MyPillow is a huge sponsor here at Lindell TV to keep us broadcasting. It also is you're helping support my USA employees, and you're also getting the best products ever. But here's what we need now. We are ordering our winter products right now. Remember, everybody, we've been debanked. You name it, debanked, demerchant servers, box stores gone, shopping channels gone, you name it. They've attacked us from every angle. So we have to pay cash for everything pretty much. And we're trying to order our stuff for coming in November, like our flannel sheet line. So we're closing out our percale sheets. These sheets, any size, any color, $29.88. You guys, they're normally over $100 for the king and queen. $29.88, as many as you want. No limit on it. Once they're gone, and they're going fast. But you can help us out. Get part of that, and any size, any color, $29.88. I got really quick breaking news for you, Vanessa.
I'll take it.
Just in. I just got word from my office in Minnesota. The FBI has now delivered my phone back after 3 years. Everybody, 3 years of nonsense. And you know what? You think I'm going to let them go and just go, oh, thank you for my phone back? No, we're going to dive into this because they took my livelihood, that phone, the stuff in there. I had pictures of my grandkids when my dad passed away. I went and we'll see what's still in there. We're going to do, when I do get back to Minnesota, I'm going to do a show. The box, it's right there in the box, like it never left back in the day. But what they did to it and what they did to take that for no reason. Now, I don't know what rights I have or whatever, but I remember, everybody, I brought it all the way up to the Supreme Court in 1 week. No, we're not going to look at that. We're not going to check that out. And then I brought it to Minnesota, the 8th Circuit there. And those judges even asked the FBI and the government, why don't you just make a copy of his phone? Why do you need the physical phone? And they also asked him, well, if you're looking for evidence, you're looking for stuff in there. Where's the attorney-client privilege? And they go, well, we're looking at that. So what do you look at it and say, oh, we shouldn't have seen that? It's like being in a courtroom and going, strike that, Your Honor. The jury already heard it. Give me a break, you know? So it'll be interesting, but it's interesting enough getting that back. You don't see it all over the news going, hey, Mike got his phone back. Mike was right. Everything he said about the election was ready. Everybody wait on 100% true. And one of the things I want to tell everybody too, I like this will announce in your show, we are going to be bringing back, I'm going to bring back Dennis Montgomery, who I got my original evidence from. You guys, I think because they keep suppressing him, I think we're going to get him on my show one of these days. We're going to do a big advertising, get him on there, and let be shown what they wouldn't let be shown in that Colorado courtroom back in May, which, remember, they wanted to focus on Dennis, but they didn't want him in the courtroom, and they didn't want the evidence to be shown, right? But yet they're trying to focus on machines. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
Well, Mike, I am so proud of you for getting your phone back. I know we've talked about it before, but for those who didn't know, right after that happened, President Trump had a rally, I think a day later, and or two later, and I was the first person to interview you, and I asked you one question, tell us what happened, and you went into extensive detail about how they took your phone. It should have never happened. How they did it was awful, in my opinion, but I'm so happy for you. People ask all the time, did Mike Lindell ever get his phone back? Nope. So now we can tell them, yes, he did.
Right. Yeah, yes, he did. But you guys, it's not so much. It's Vanessa. It's more of how they took it and what they were really planning.
Right.
This is what we're going to reach into. My attorney, we're not letting this go. Why did they follow me all the way to Iowa, 2 hours from my office, on a duck hunting trip with my friend, and then wait all the way through morning through the duck hunt? Maybe they wanted to see how I out hunted my buddy, which I did. That trip is coming up, by the way. But then coming back. Another hour goes by and we get to Mankato, Minnesota. Now, the way it went down, just really quick, everybody, we pull up to get to the drive-through and a car pulls like this, one at the side and one comes flying up behind me. And they don't look like FBI cars. They're just undercover stuff. I told my buddy something's going down. I said, just stay where you're at. And I leaned out and I said, who are you and when do you want me? Said FBI. I said, well, show me your badge. I don't believe you. And he finally showed me his badge. I said, how about you? I don't believe you either. Now, and they said, we're not here to arrest you. I'm going, I hope you do arrest me. I want to be arrested. I've done nothing wrong. They would not arrest me, everybody. But here's the thing. We had guns in the back, open guns from duck hunting. Okay. And they're behind us. Now, if this would have been at night, I'm telling you, if you've all read my book, and if you haven't, we have an audio version right here on Lindell TV. I've been in some of the worst hoods in the United States and some of the worst places you've ever seen, and guns to my head, swords to my throat. I've had people after me for sports betting, you name it. I would have thought these guys, and at that time of my life, remember, I was like one of the, if not the number one, definitely the number two target in this country, coming at me because they didn't want to get rid of the electronic voting machines and me speaking out about that election. Now, if it had happened at night, I wouldn't have even hesitated. I would have took my pickup and bashed between them, and it would have been a high-speed chase, and I would have been looking for a real cop. And that's what scares me to this day. I'm going, you know what? Maybe was that a setup so there'd be some big, shootout? I don't know. I'm just saying. The conspiracy theory. Why did they do it like that when they knew where my office was? I think I'm right. I'm right out in the open here. You want it? Take a copy, no problem. I got nothing to hide. Don't you find that was strange, Vanessa, the way that went down back then?
100% strange because, if a car unmarked shows up and blocks you off with men getting out of the car, most people would think, yes. And, and then with, people carry. They believe in their Second Amendment rights, as they should. And so it escalated very quickly.
Very fast. And they didn't, and you guys, they didn't wear they didn't come in black suits with little black glasses like Men in Black or the FBI, right? They were dressed, you wouldn't have known them from Adam, I'm telling you. But it was just disgusting. But what did I do, if everybody remembers? I stood there and I lectured them. for almost 2 hours to the point where they said, Mike, we got to go. And I was telling them about the Bible, telling them about my book. I go, you guys, why would you do this? And they go, "Hey, don't you have a moral compass?" They go, Mike, it's our job. I said, well, you know what? If you've lost your moral compass and what you're doing, if it's your job and you know it's wrong, and this goes for anybody out there watching, this goes for all you, the cowards that are out there that are sitting back, that have sat back for 4.5 years. Maybe you are afraid you've been threatened, like judges have been threatened. Hey, you're living with a pretty nice family. But where does it end? If we all succumb to the threats from evil, we're going to lose. And evil is not giving up. They're still out there. This is a spiritual battle of historical proportions. And that's why we need more people like our mayor, great Mayor Rudy Giuliani, that he didn't back down to the mafia, he didn't back down to the terrorists, and he didn't back down to the corrupt uniparty deep state that's been trying to take our country down for a long time.
Do you see the connection here? People love him. The American people love him because of what you just mentioned. The American people love you because of what you just mentioned. The American people love President Trump because he doesn't back down or fall for the corruption. The American people speak, and that's, to me, that's who matters at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. And Vanessa, I want to say one more thing before I go. Here I'm in D.C., and I've been here numerous times. Going back all the way to 2016, and this city never felt safe to me. And I've been in a lot of cities. I mean, because back when I was on crack cocaine, I was in every city, and I've been in so many places that you guys wouldn't imagine. But it never felt safe here. There was a weird feeling here. Going all the way, especially this year, even when I was here. I'm I walk down the street with in my suit or whatever. This time's been different. Granted, I've only been here a day, but I had to walk over 1.5 miles today, and the people, it's like it's almost cleaned up immediately where people feel safe, and it's a feeling you feel so safe here right now. And I want to say this, I want to give the mayor here a big compliment, a huge compliment, because she did something that other mayors in this country would not do, or other governors that would not do. When the president came out and did this, about a week ago, the mayor here said, you know what, it's working. We feel safer. She didn't say, hey, it's all Donald Trump. She didn't do that. But she basically said that without saying it. She goes, we feel safer. It's working. That should be a message to every single politician, governor. I don't care if you're blue, red, or whatever, but especially the blue ones, I guess, like the Baltimore mayor and then all the stuff going with Chicago and the governor there and stuff. We spent Lindell TV. We were in Chicago for the DC convention, and all the people there that we interviewed in the inner city, all of them want security. They want the illegals gone. They want them gone now because they're taking all their resources. They're taking their addiction resources where people are getting help. They're taking all that. And that's what we heard from them over and over again. So I'm just glad to hear that on the left, even CNN and places like that are starting to admit that everything this great president's doing is working. But you don't hear this stuff on Fox and Newsmax and Salem Media about our election platforms, because that's the biggest thing, everybody, that he's attacking right now. He's going to get to paper ballots, hand counted. You mark my words here, Vanessa. This is his number one concern, and I'll have a great report coming at the end of the week of all the things that are going to be happening.
I hope so. And I wanted to bring that up to you, Mike, because he's been hinting at this a lot, the president has, on social media. Before you go, I want to show you one post he made about voter ID. He says must be part of every single vote, no exceptions. I will be doing an executive order to that end. Also, no mail-in voting, except for those that are very ill and the far away military. Use paper ballots only, with a bunch of exclamation points, all capital letters, signing off President DJT. So it's coming. I know you can't tell us much, Mike, but any type of hint? I know you said maybe by the end of this week.
Oh, no, that would just be news that I would have. I don't, we won't even talk about his timing. I'm not that. He is, I tell you, everybody, I've never seen anyone like our great president, where he is such a great listener. He will take it all in from all sources. You could have 10 people in the room all commenting. I've been in many roundtable things with him, and everybody puts the input in. He might ask a question here, and you don't even know, why did he ask that or whatever, or you think, and then all of a sudden, it might be a day, a week, whatever, boom. He puts it all and he comes out with problem, solution, and he knows what it's going to manifest to. He has a blessing of all time. He has a blessing of all time, and God working through him, he's getting more done than anyone in history. And I want to say too, when he says that and he's ordering that, when we talk about mail-in ballots, everybody, and he said the military, that's our UACAVA votes. I want to tell everybody a great warning. Obama changed our UACAVA where you could email it, you're in your vote, okay? That needs to go. 90% of the votes we found in the 2020 election were for, it's good for right now. The 90% were for Biden. 90% of the votes. Almost everyone we've seen was for Biden that was emailed in. The ones that were mailed by mail, which take 45, they allow 45 days before you can do that. It was that way for years. The overseas military could physically mail it. Okay. And when they did that, all of those that we found, and I met with so many people, and they didn't want to come forward. They were scared, but they said, here, we want you to know this, Mike. Those were for Donald Trump. So, you get places like in Arizona where they did that audit. I think it was like 1,800 votes overseas were for Biden out of 1,860 of them. 1,860, give me a break. These were all stolen. That was another layer that they had to steal the election. And those got to be fixed. But you realize when you read his writing there, he says mail in, except for the military. He's smart. He's gonna say, hey, the military can still mail theirs because you're not going to use computers, so that eliminates sending your vote in by the internet. You follow me? All these computers need to go, everybody. And any of you states and you people out there watching going, well, we already have paper ballots, Mike. Well, good for you, Special K. They're counted by a machine. They're counted by a tabulator, a voting machine. You get it? They're all online. This is the way it is. And then they go, well, we'll just count the paper ballots. They cheat enough so you got a margin there. Every state's a little bit different, but you have a margin you have to win by. If you win by more than that margin, you can't get to the paper ballots. That's why they always cheat enough so you can't even order it or say, hey, I need to look because we're within 1/10 of 1%, whatever it is. By the way, everybody, we have our teams on the ground. Every state is different. That got brought to my attention. Every state has their own little rules of what would replace the machines. We've already got it covered. We're 4.5 years ahead of it. We've got every single plan for every single state. Here, this fits your little booklet here. Like in Missouri, for example, in Missouri, Vanessa, you actually could not use cameras if you had to use their existing law. You wouldn't be able to use cameras, but because of a law that's kind of a horse and buggy law. So they would add the cameras. You can, that's all you'd have to add. But other than that, it's a plug-in. You follow me? There's just little tweaks because it's never been done here with the new technology with adding cameras to paper ballots hand counted and the 3 systems we have that are the best in the world.
All right, well, that's a lot to take in, Mike, and I know you're fighting for it, and I just have a feeling it's going to, be here soon because we're looking forward to big changes before the 2026 election. So keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for taking some time for us today. I know you're busy there at the White House, and we'll check back in with you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you. Well, we also have new exclusive bombshell information today coming out on fired Fed Governor Lisa Cook. We've been digging into that for the last couple of days. We have more on the investigation of fraud. Here's our Allison Steinberg with more.
As the next Federal Reserve meeting on September 16th is just around the corner, we now wait not only to learn whether Fed Chair Jerome Powell will lead the board to lower interest rates, but whether President Trump's firing of Fed Governor Lisa Cook over mortgage fraud allegations will be upheld, as the case will likely end up in the Supreme Court. According to housing regulator Bill Polte's criminal referral, Lisa Cook committed mortgage fraud by lying on her mortgage application and falsifying bank statements when she designated her out-of-state Atlanta condo as her primary residence just 2 weeks after taking a loan on her Michigan home, which she also claimed as her primary residence. For today, we'll focus on the institution which granted Lisa Cook the loan for her Atlanta condo in 2021, the Bank Fund Credit Union. Robert Bose, first and second term Trump appointee, discovered that the name Bank-Fund stands for World Bank International Monetary Fund, or the IMF as it's known.
It's called Bank-Fund, and that's for the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund.
Now, when you go to the bank's website, it clearly states the institution is for employees and family members of the World Bank and the IMF.
But there's also one exception here.
Right.
This credit union allows citizens from Treasury terrorist countries on the OFAC list as well.
Wait, what? Yes, that's right. According to Robert Bose, Lisa Cook does not or has not worked for the World Bank or the IMF and doesn't even have family who works for them either.
There's nothing on her employment records, what she told the Senate, that she never worked at the World Bank. She never worked at the International Monetary Fund. I don't believe her family had worked there.
Now, I know this because I searched for a few hours trying to dig up a connection that would explain how she was employed by or had a family connection to either of the two arguably most prominent and influential institutions in control of the world's economy. And the only thing I found was an article the IMF published supporting Cook for overcoming racial barriers, and another where the institution actually promoted a podcast of Cook. So clearly the IMF was a fan of Lisa Cook, but why would their credit union make an exception for her by granting her a loan when the institution is supposed to only be for employees and their direct family? Do you think perhaps there could be a connection to her previous line of work with the Council of Foreign Relations, maybe her position with the Obama administration that may have allowed some sort of compromise in this system here?
Well, it could be, yes. She was in the Obama White House. She was also on the Biden transition team while she was sort of in with Michigan State University doing, economic history or whatever there. So it's very possible that they may have bent their rules a little bit to allow somebody in the Obama-Biden team to get in here.
So what exactly is the IMF? Well, according to the IMF, the International Monetary Fund works to achieve sustainable growth and prosperity for all of its 191 member countries. It does so by supporting economic policies that promote financial stability and monetary cooperation, which it says are essential to increase productivity, job creation, and economic well-being. The IMF has 3 critical missions: furthering international monetary cooperation, encouraging the expansion of trade and economic growth, and discouraging policies that would harm prosperity. To fulfill these missions, IMF member countries work collaboratively with each other and with other international bodies. So basically, the IMF is the primary globalist institution that coordinates and oversees the world economic system and also works in concert with other globalist bodies such as the UN, the WHO, and of course the World Economic Forum. Now, looking into the World Bank, they say its mission is to, quote, end extreme poverty and boost shared prosperity on a livable planet. This is threatened by multiple intertwined crises. Time is of the essence, end quote. It then goes on to list a whole slew of causes such as climate change, the green agenda, and promoting diversity. So yeah, their goals align perfectly with the globalist vision for our future, and their goals scream DEI and align directly with Greta Thunberg.
How dare you?
The question remains, why did Lisa Cook, who wasn't even a Federal Reserve governor at the time of her application for her loan at the World Bank and IMF's credit union, receive a loan if she wasn't employed by or had a familial connection to the global economic institutions? Is this discovery only the beginning of further revelations surrounding the special treatment of Lisa Cook? She was trying to get a temporary order granted so that she could work in the interim, though President Trump has officially fired her. Jerome Powell is continuing to let her work despite all this. What are your thoughts on that, and what does that say about Jerome Powell?
So Jay Powell needs to, I think, abide by that. If he doesn't abide by that, and he keeps letting Powell or Lisa Cook in the building, let her get into meetings, then you really wonder about the legitimacy of these meetings, and that's a bad look for too late Jay Powell.
Does Lisa Cook hold some nebulous connection to the globalist financial bodies that represent the world, or was she singularly focused on advancing U.S. interests as part of our Federal Reserve? All of this serves to make one wonder. Isn't it time for Congress to cement U.S. control of our financial system under the auspices of the U.S. Department of Treasury, where our government, of the people, by the people, and for the people, would have U.S. interests reign supreme rather than the corrupt goals of the globalists? Reporting for Lindell TV, I'm Allison Steinberg.
And Lisa Cook has denied all allegations. Her sorority has come to her defense, by the way. And the judge overseeing the case right now, Cook's sorority sister. Lindell TV will continue to follow this investigation very closely and bring you the latest updates as they become available. As we just mentioned with Mike a little earlier, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani is continuing to recover after a weekend wreck in New Hampshire. Authorities say Rudy and his driver Theodore had pulled over to help a victim of domestic dispute. Rudy called 911 and waited for authorities to arrive. Once they arrived on scene, Rudy and Theodore left, and when they did, they were hit from behind in another vehicle. Police say the two incidents are not connected. No charges have yet been filed. The president, as we mentioned earlier, making this announcement afterwards. As President of the United States of America, I am pleased, he says, to announce that Rudy Giuliani, the greatest mayor in the history of New York City and an equally great American patriot, will receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom, our country's highest civilian honor. The president said details as to time and place are to follow. Now again, Mayor Giuliani serves on the board of directors here at Lindell TV. He has his daily show here, The Rudy Giuliani Show. Theodore is his producer on the show, so we wish them both a very speedy recovery. And don't forget, he will have his show tonight. The mayor is back, so make sure you tune in here on Lindell TV to catch the mayor. I'm sure he's going to talk about the wreck and exactly what happened. So we welcome him back with open arms here on Lindell TV and cannot wait to see him again tonight. Former special counsel Robert Mueller has been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and his family says he cannot testify before Congress in the Russia hoax and Epstein case. Apparently, he's had Parkinson's since 2021. The House Oversight Committee had subpoenaed Mueller as part of its Epstein probe, but lawmakers have now withdrawn that subpoena, citing his declining health. Mueller also served as FBI director from 2001 to 2013. He led the high-profile Russia investigation during the Trump administration. His family says his condition has affected both his speech and his mobility, making public testimony no longer possible. He's 81 years old. Congress is back in session after a long month away from the Hill, and they have a long list of items to address. Today was day one. We'll run down the top 6 items on the agenda when we come back. Stay with us.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice, speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including Lindell TV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to Lindell Royal TV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
All right, let's take a look at Wall Street right now as we close out this Tuesday. It wasn't looking good. As you can see, all in the red on the big board for the Dow, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ. Hopefully we'll have a bounce back tomorrow. But for today, we all closed down. Congress back in session after a month away. We have compiled a list of 6 things to keep an eye on this September. Today was day 1 after a month away. First, government funding and a potential shutdown. The deadline, September 30th. Lawmakers must address the looming federal funding deadline at the end of September. Without an agreement, a government shutdown looms. Both chambers will likely focus on key funding bills, including energy and water appropriations in the House and defense policy in the Senate. Number 2, National Defense Authorization Act action. The Senate will likely move forward with this as early as this evening. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Third, Health and Human Services and RFK Jr. Senate testimony. Kennedy will testify before the Senate. Next, foreign aid, sanctions, and executive authority. President Trump's move to rescind nearly $5 billion in previously approved foreign aid is intensifying scrutiny over executive overreach. We'll keep an eye out on that. Also, the Epstein files and Biden probes. The House is facing internal GOP conflict over public disclosure of information related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. And Republicans continue to question Biden's mental fitness, lining up key testimonies this session. And finally, congressional ethics and trading ban. There's growing momentum behind proposals for a Congress-wide stock trading ban, though drafts may exempt Trump, and the push faces resistance from lawmakers and financial ties. So a little bit to look out for the month of September. We'll keep an eye out on that. To talk more about the National Defense Authorization Act, let's bring in Arizona Senator Mark Finchem. Senator, thanks so much for being here. Good to have you on. Mike Lindell was with us earlier, so it's taken us a little bit to get to you, but I know you are following all this closely. Let's talk about the National Defense Authorization Act. Explain this bill to us.
Well, every year through the normal appropriations process, Congress tells the military what they're going to spend and what they should spend it on. Now, one of the things that I find interesting is it's supposed to be the National Defense Authorization Act. It's not supposed to be the insert DEI every possible place you can, including the military. Because the last time I checked, a bullet does not care whether you have equity or inclusion or diversity. It's intent on one thing, killing you. So I think President Trump has been laser focused on rebuilding our military from what has just become a stockpile of failed policies. Now we're at this place where Congress is really going to have to, forgive the expression, man up. And let's go after things that defend this nation. We are already at war. The reality hasn't caught up with us yet. The Chinese Communist Party probes our systems every single minute of every single day, from the power grid to here in Arizona. Our voter registration system was under assault. Don't know where that came from because the Secretary of State has not disclosed it yet. But it's just critical infrastructure systems are constantly under attack by our adversaries. Okay, the key word there is attack, right? So there are other things in the NDAA which I find very disturbing, but there's also some things that they beg the question: when local or state agencies for law enforcement can't get the job done, Gavin Newsom, the president has no choice but to deploy federalized troops, National Guard, to back up organizations like ICE, Border Patrol, the FBI, and for the states to come out and say, "Oh, posse comitatus prevents that." Well, if we revisit what happened up in Portland, Oregon, a few years ago, the president deployed troops to do what? To protect federal property. It wasn't to go out on some law enforcement excursion throughout the community. Okay. So what the president is doing there, I think, is backing up a failed Democrat policy of anything goes in some of these major cities. Now, one of the other things that we're looking at is the movement of the Air National Guard into the U.S. Space Force, kind of changing the organizational structure of that chain of command. An interesting move. Arizona does not have a Space Force. We have a few places that launch rockets, but that's about it. So I think we've got an opportunity there to further work with our federal partners to make sure that when it comes to things like low Earth orbit satellites, the threat from outside of our immediate airspace, I think that's a place where I think the state of Arizona has a vested interest to participate. And I would even add, NDAA doesn't exactly talk about elections, but our critical infrastructure, like I say, is under assault. I was watching Mike in his interview. Think about this for a second. If we had a federal only ballot in this coming election, it could be the size of a 3.5 by 5 postcard because there'd only be 2 names on it, the Republican and the Democrat running for a congressional seat. That's it. So for those people that say, well, we've already got paper ballots, yes, that's true. Mike was focusing on the right thing. It's how we count those ballots. That's where the magic happens when you flip votes. It's not just the ballot. And we can go into that's another conversation, but it has to do with the security of our elections and how paper ballots that are counted by hand at the precinct level on election day is doable. In fact, I'll be taking a trip to Germany here, I think in a month or two, to observe their elections, which are counted by hand with paper ballots, photo ID, just to make sure that the voters are who they say they are.
Isn't it sad that we even have to be talking about this in 2025, that you just have to show your ID just to prove who you are? But here we are. That's what we have to do to make sure our elections are secure. One of the aspects to make sure our elections are secure. Senator, the Senate is now meeting right now. They convened. They're there on the floor. I'm watching live from the Senate website. Do you think we're going to get any movement on this bill? And it's very interesting. The first thing that you told me, when I hear, at least I can speak for myself, when I hear national defense, I think of, like you said, our military. But this goes deeper than that. And I just don't think the American people are aware about exactly what's inside this bill. Is this a way for them to just sneak stuff in to get it passed?
Yeah, so the whole mandatory passage thing, that's a parliamentary tool for people loading. We used to call it pork barrel spending. They're shoving pork into this thing like it's a sausage casing. And that's what they're trying to do because they want to get their little pet program done. They want to do something for the folks here. They're basically the people who are funding them to be in their office. So, yeah, the NDAA has become something that it never was intended to be. It was intended to be a national budget act for the military, not for all the special interests, not for all the special programs that are non-military. Now, of course, they've tried to make DEI, defense, equity, inclusion, diversity. You would think that the defense bill would say something about defense, but yeah. So that is where a lot of this stuff gets shoved into bills that are a mandatory passage bill. And usually it happens at the last minute. And you have a member or a group of members that say, if you want my vote on this particular bill, you're going to have to shove this into it. Now, it takes strong strong women to say, no, that's not going to happen. And frankly, I don't know that Mr. Speaker Johnson has got that level of strength in his spine. I've seen way too many special programs enter into bills that, quite frankly, they should never have been put into. If you're so intent on getting something done, run a damn bill that deals with that thing instead of our national defense.
You're absolutely right. Senator, I'm with you. We have about a minute and a half left. I want to ask you another question because, again, this is day one. We're going to have everyone at home needs to buckle up because it's going to be a roller coaster ride over the next couple of weeks and months. The bill also includes investments in cyber defense. This is a big one. In about 30 seconds, can you tell us what this includes with the cyber defense?
Well, like I say, our systems are penetrated, or there's an attempt to penetrate our systems every single day. That means that we need to harden our cyber defense capabilities. So every time we come up with a technology or a program to interfere with the attempts to hack our systems, the hackers are already way ahead of us developing systems and movements to overcome that. Think of this as a three-dimensional chessboard, and it's constantly in motion. So if I were going to place funding into something, it would be there, because let's not forget our entire electrical grid. Nothing moves in this country without electricity. Fuel, food, water, none of it moves without electricity. So if somebody wants to take the grid down, they could take over the United States without firing a single shot.
Wow. Senator Finchem, we're going to continue to follow this, the National Defense Authorization Act. I wish we had more time with you. Hopefully you'll come and join us soon as we continue to follow this in the Senate. They're likely moving forward with this right now. We were just looking at live pictures from the Senate floor. So we'll watch this and hope to have you back on soon. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you very much.
And real quick, as we close out the show, we want to end, as always, with our prayer of the day. Our prayer of the day comes from the book of Jeremiah, and it says, I, the Lord, search the heart, I test the mind, even to give to each man according to his ways, according to the results of his deeds. So go out and do a great deed tonight. That's Jeremiah chapter 17. That'll do it for us here on Spin Room. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here, same time, same place tomorrow. In the meantime, Steve Bannon's War Room is next. I'm Vanessa Broussard, and you're watching Lindell TV.